fear does. But what I love about God, I love a lot of things about God, but one of the other things I love about God, one thing I love specifically, he doesn't stop there. Because fear does have a place in our lives now, maybe, but as we continually progress, continually mature, continually grow in him, we see in 1 John 4, verse 18, what happens. He says this, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment, and the one who fears is not made perfect in love. So we see this continual progression in our lives where, yes, as young Christians, as baby Christians, there's going to be a lot of fears that you have. And what happens is you have a lot of cognitive dissonance, and you're like, why do I fear things? I've been praying for you not to help me fear things, but I still fear things. And God's saying, I want you to have courage in spite of that fear. That beckons you to have courage. But what happens is sooner or later down our walk, we get to the point where we're no longer doing things out of fear. We're doing them out of love. Let me give you an example of real lifetime stuff. Okay, for me, I struggled really badly with a pornography addiction. And for the very first few months, several months of dealing with it, one of the best ways for me to kind of cope with it was to think about being punished by God. Like, what would God think? You know, that's kind of like how I thought. It was more fear motivated. But what happens is I continually learned about the gospel, and I continue to learn about God's grace and his personalities and his attributes, his holiness and his omnipotence, his omnipresence. And I began to truly understand the gospel and what it meant. The fact that God in heaven would put on flesh and bones and come live amongst people, the things which he created, and then get killed by them for my sin. As soon as I came to a clearer understanding, a better understanding of that, then instead of not looking at porn because I was afraid of punishment, I began to not look at porn because I loved the Lord. Because I realized that he did something for me that no one else could have done. He could have left me in my sin. He could have thrown me away. He could have said, Will, I'll choose somebody else to plant that church. No, he chased after me anyway. And he pulled me up out of the miry pit and put me on a solid rock. And that's what it is. So we move away. But I will say, fear is not meant to be our foundation, but it is a part of the building block process. So it's really, don't buy into the lie that fear has no place in the kingdom at all. That's not true. It's a part of our walk.